was PK.
Did you have any nicknames at all? Or?
Pardon?
Did you have a nickname?
No, I don't think, no, not as far as I know.
How long were you in the service?
Just under 39 years.
And when did you...
I joined in January 1935 and retired in November 73.
Where did you go to train?
Well, first training in those days was I went to Trinity House for learning how to operate the PVBs or IOBs, and then to Blackwall workshops for a month, 2 weeks in a carpenter shop for some reason, and 2 weeks in a shop where they coppersmith shop. So I had to learn how to solder and things like that.
Did you ever use these skills when you got taught it then?
Not really, no. But one thing every super had to make, or was helped to make, was a box to put his collars in. A tin box to put his collars in. You were presented with one of those from the shops when you left the after training. Yes.
Did you have to learn how to cook and stuff like that?
No, not in those days. No.
So does that mean when you got out on the lighthouse, you
just learned the hard way? Yes, that's right. Yes.
What was your first station you went to then?
I went up to Suter Point. That was to learn how to operate the Hornsby engines and the fog signal. And after that, I don't know, down to Pendine, to another part of Pendine for electric light. There was an electric light station. You learned how to start up the alternators and operate the electric light. That was the training, and then off to go to supernumerary duties. Because in those days, I was only a supernumerary about 3 years, but in those days, some supernumeraries went for 6 or 7 years before they were made AK. Yeah. Because my first taste of rock duty was 4 months away. That was Skocum, onto South Bishop, onto the Smalls, and back to Skocum. That was the first lot of rock duty. Yes.
What was the Smalls like in those days?
Well, like all tower rocks, they're all more or less alike, aren't they? You know. Yes.
Did you enjoy the Smalls at all?
Well, they're all different. You know, it was quite a change from the other stations. It was all right. Yeah.
And that was the IOBs out there, the paraffin.
That was the IOBs, yeah, or PVBs, as they call them. Yeah.
Can you explain what you had to do every day to keep these things going?
Well, if you had the morning watch, you had to put out. There was always plenty of brass work to do and polish the lens. That was done every day in those days, and odd jobs about the station.
What about the light itself? Did you have to prepare it for?
Pardon?
Did you have to prepare the light for the evening?
Oh yes, that was the lamp was a new lamp was put on every day, or a new head, and the other one was taken down and soaked in potash and washed, and the vaporizer, it all had to be cleaned every day, put back. That was all done, changed every day, so that I'd never known one of the PVB lamps to fail, because you had to prick out perhaps once during the night, but apart from that they were very reliable.
And the lenses were clockwork, weren't they?
That's right, yeah. Most of them floated on mercury, yes.
And what was it, explosive fog signals?
Yes, the Smalls was explosive, that's right. Tonite charges. South Bishop was siren, I think. And Skokholm was a siren or a reed, I don't know, I can't remember that. One of the others. But yeah, that was the first taste of rock light, 4 months.
Yeah. Where'd you go after that?
Sent to Bideford Bar Light. That was very unusual light, that was. There was no, there was only 2 keepers there, and there were no supers' quarters. You had to lodge with one of the keepers. You either do this, I can't think whether it was sick duty or holiday duty, I can't remember now. But the road ended before you got to the lighthouse, some distance away, and you couldn't see the lighthouse. You had to walk over the dunes to get to the light.
Yeah.
And the only way you really found your way to light was follow the telephone posts. And at night time, if you went out and you came back at night, you had to shine your light on the telephone wires, because you never saw the light until you got on top of the last dune.
Mm.
Yeah.
Can you describe what the lighthouse looked like?
Well, it was like a just wooden tower, you know, sand everywhere, sand in everything. Mm.
And the house itself, was that?
Well, the house as well, you know, the sand was on your feet when you walked in and all that sort of thing, was sand everywhere, yeah. Yeah, quite an unusual station, yeah.
Was it very rickety then, being a wood?
No, not no. I did a couple of turns there at duty, just a month of each time, I think, or 6 weeks, something like that.
And what was the light there?
That was a PVB, and that was an occulting light. I don't know if you know what occulting light is.
Oh,
The light's on all the time. This shutter comes down over the top, and for so many seconds, and up for so many seconds. Yeah.
Was that a clockwork shutter?
Oh yes. But you had to keep an eye open for those things, because sometimes they would stick, you know.
How about pricking out? Do you have to time it in between this thing?
Well, the light was on with an occulting light. The light is on much longer than it is shut off. You had the light on. The light might be on for, I don't know, 5, 10, 15, 20 seconds or so, or perhaps longer, and then the shutter would just come down for a second or two, so it gave you plenty of time to prick out, you know. Mm.
And you had another light there as well, didn't you?
Yes, there was a low light that was a few hundred yards away, which had to be changed from red to white and white to red at half flood or half ebb at night time, and the ball by the low light had to be raised or lowered according to half flood or half ebb, you know, at the tide. Yeah. Mm.
Being stuck out in the middle of the dunes and stuff, how did you get your food and all your stores there?
It's so difficult. It's so nearly 60 years ago. I think you just carried it back under as best you could, you know, because the road ended. You just had to carry your stores back.
And where did you go from Bideford?
Oh, I can't remember. Oh, supernumeraries. You went all over the place. Went Channel Islands, Portland Bill, St Catherine's holiday duty, Anvil Point holiday duty. Oh, and Dungeness. We went down to Dungeness for one lot of training, so I remember now. That was another training station, yes. Mm.
That's the, was that the black and white tower?
No, that was the old tower. It was before, it was the old light then.
So next door to the roundhouse, was it?
That's right, yeah. There were 4 keepers there then, because 2 used to man the high light, and 2 used to man the low light and the fog signal station. Fog signal down there. There were 2 lights at the Dungeness. Yeah.
So where was the low light there?
The low light was what, a few hundred yards away, and well, there were no roads in those days at Dungeness. I know you've been down there, have you?
Yeah.
Are there roads now?
One, yeah.
There were no roads then. You used to have to walk over the shingle to get to the either get to the pub or get to the cafe or the railway station. You know. Mm.
Was it still old fishermen's cottages and old railway carriages?
That's
there?
right. Yeah.
They're still there.
Is it? Yeah.
So no nuclear power station when you were there?
No, that's new. No.
Blot on the landscape.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where were you appointed first? Can you remember?
Yes, I was appointed, let's see, 35, into 37, I think, went to the Casquets and lived in Albany. I come from Albany, so that was all right. I was able to stay there with my parents, and because in those days we used to do 2 months on, a month off, you know.
So the Casquets is a rock island, isn't it?
Oh, well, it's not an island. Well, it's quite a large rock, actually. And with quite a lot of dwellings there. At one time, Casquets apparently was families used to live there, and one family called Hugay was well known as the family. They even had their children living there with them, and quite a famous rock. One of the Victories, HMS Victory, was lost there. The one in Portsmouth Harbour, as far as I remember, is Victory 5. Victory 4 was lost on the Casquets in about 1744. With it's supposed to be about 1,100 lives lost on that ship. And then there was a railway steamer, the Stella, was lost there. Quite a loss of life.
Did you ever get any keepers telling you ghost stories when you were there?
No, it's a bit of a good. No, it's quite a. So had it was quite a large station. Of course, you had 3 towers there, and one with the light, one with the fog signal, one with the radio beacon. You know. Mm.
Where did you go from that one?
Oh, from that one, well, it was during the war, and I came ashore and came to England for a holiday. Mechanics had gone there actually to overhaul the equipment, and we went there and opened up the light.
Hadn't the Germans gutted that place?
Pardon?
Did the Germans gut that place?
No, they were on station there. The story we heard from the boatman that used to take us off from Guernsey, that German military sent if they misbehaved ashore, that was one of their punishments apparently, was to do duty on the Hanwell. So, but whether that was true or not, I don't know. And one man was supposed to have committed suicide there. Whether that was true or not, because we heard these stories from the local boatmen, you know.
I've heard that story.
Eh?
I've heard that story.
Did you? Yeah.
How did you find the Hanwell then? Was it very good?
Oh, it's we never had time to clean the lens, but I was quite surprised at the brilliancy of the light when we lit up with all the dust on it, you know, so it made a lot of difference. But yeah, we had, and then we were relieved about 6 weeks later, I think, that a PK came off and they took on some of the locals in for duty. They made them AKs right away, you know. But none of them stayed. all the they took on locals for the four Channel Island nights, Hanmar, Alderney, Casquets and Sark. That's right, but they all left eventually. Yeah.
What was your next place after that?
Alderney. And
that must have been the enjoyable one.
That was very nice. Yes, family. I got married then. The family lived in Alderney with us, and then down to Portland Bill.
Was that a shock after Alderney?
Portland Bill, very busy. Then down to the. I went to the Wolf, made PK the Wolf. The family lived in the Lizard then, Lizard Light, so we had one of the spare cottages, the Lizard. The PK the Eddystone had one of the cottages there, and the PK the Wolf had another one. After that, Plymouth Breakwater, and then Pendine, then St Catherine's, and then retired.
Can you tell me all about the Wolf?
The Wolf? Well, I'm glad I went there. It's quite an experience to go to a place like that, because I don't think there's anything quite like it. We had quite a lot of bad weather when I was there. I did one turn where we were over 4 weeks overdue, so I was there about just over the 3 months,
This is when you should have done 2 months on, 1 month off.
It was 2 months on, 1 month off then. Yeah,
and you did 3.
So I did 3 months, just over 3 months, that's right.
What was that like?
Well, you just settled down and got used to it, And that was it.
How about food for that?
Food, well, it was mostly tin stuff, mostly tin food. You got fed up with the side of a tin opener after a while, but it was all the usual things had gone, so you just managed on with the tin stuff. Because they kept more reserve provisions on a place like the Wolf than they did on the usual rock lights. It was, you had things like yeast and things like that, you could dive into after you've been a week overdue.
So you did all your own baking as well as cooking?
Oh yes, yeah.
So what, did you have like a baking day, just doing bread and stuff?
Well, each man did his own cooking. You had to cook for the day, but you provided your food, but you baked your own bread. That was your own. Usually did when you were cooked for the day, sort of thing.
And that you had to learn rather than get taught.
Oh yes, you learned. I don't quite know how it managed really, because when I first went to the rock stations, I really hadn't a clue what to order, and it was a keeper, one of the keepers on shore, which you reported to from one of the other rock lights down in South Wales, and he told me more or less everything I should order, and you just went to the butcher and told him what you wanted, and the grocer. And he said, all right, and that was it. And you said, because you didn't know how long you were going for, and somebody, when you were going to stay another month, like I said, we went from Skocum, South Bishopsmore back to Skocum, the grocer just sent off another month's stores, which you had to pay for yourself, of course, as you know, don't you? But they trusted you in those days. They gave you credit. The same down in Swansea when it was usually 3 months down there. That was Lundy North, Lundy South and Platholmes. That was another 3 stations that you did, but you went out from Swansea then. Well, that wasn't a bad trip though. Lundy wasn't bad.
Yeah, nice island.
Hey, you can sort of go up and have a drink now and again. Yeah,
So on the wharf, you got all your grub to go out there with.
that's right.
How did you store it? Was it in barrels, in boxes, or?
Yes, you had these crates you store them in, and then the end of the next month, the grocer would send down stores again, and it'd come on. Because that was it wasn't too bad then after the war having fridges, but before the war, because there were no fridges on rock stations, you just had to manage as best you could without a fridge. So at the end of the month, the butter was getting a bit. You had to put jam on the bread, and the bacon was getting a bit what's the name, and the eggs used to stick to the shells, after 4 or 5 weeks. And
they didn't hatch out on you.
one unusual. Several places had them. We used to do it on the Casquets, and we had stone jars, the old-fashioned. I don't know if you remember them, old-fashioned marmalade jars. They were sort of stone jars. Do you remember them? Have you ever seen them?
No.
And so we used to cut up the meat, put it in these jars, put the jars in the oven, and cook the meat. And then seal them with boiling dripping, and the meat would keep for ages and ages. Lovely, you can make stews like that. When you needed it, you would scoop the dripping off the top and turn the meat. That was perfectly keep for months like that.
And this was in the days before the
fridges. That's right. Yeah, yeah.
So all that fat you ate never done you any harm by the sound?
Well, you didn't eat the dripping.
That just preserved it?
No, you just the fat would go on the top of the and just go solid, you see. Yeah.
Milk and stuff like that, was that tin milk?
Tin milk, yeah, Nestle's milk.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nestle's condensed milk. Each had their own tin, tin of milk. Yeah.
How about your comrades out there? Was there more sort of camaraderie in those days?
Where? On the rocks?
Yeah.
Very good. I can honestly say that I was never involved or heard two keepers quarrelling. It was, I did many years on the rock lights, around here, Needles, Nab, Beachy Head, and you automatically kept off subjects which might, religion was, I didn't know what the others' religion were, what they, or their politics. Well, only one man I knew his politics, but the others I didn't know whether they voted Labour or Conservative, and never asked, and I never asked which church they went to or anything, and they never asked me, which was you did that, or it was automatic, I think. It was never discussed. Some of the things you didn't discuss, You
didn't have TV then, I take it?
Not before the war, no.
So, what was it, wireless?
We had a radio.
And I suppose you just had a battery for the wireless, was it?
Yeah.
Now how about the lighting in the tower, if it was...
Well, the Wolf, we had electric light there.
Yeah, running off the engine.
Running off the engines, yeah. But other towers, there was for electric light, you just use the ordinary wick lamps,
Yeah. The old Tilly lamp type thing.
No, most of them were just wick lamps.
Oh, just a wick.
Yeah.
What did you do to keep yourselves amused out there then?
Well, before the days of TV,
Yeah. That thing that killed conversation.
everybody had their own, had a hobby of some kind or other. Some making mats and ships in bottles. I took up knitting after I got married. I used to spend a lot of time with it. Time knitting, which was quite a good hobby. But the TVs made all the difference. No, it was only a small set, but the boring time on a rock was after tea. Well, then of course the TV came in and made all that much difference, you know. Yeah.
Now, once you're married and you're out on a lighthouse, and you're doing 2 months on and 1 month off,
Yeah,
you're living with the men longer than you're living with your wife.
that's right.
So, when you come ashore, do you ever feel strange for the first few days?
No, I don't think so. No,
You switch from one to the other?
that's
straight away?
right. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, sometimes like you feel like you almost, I'm speaking personally now,
Yeah.
as if for the first day I always felt like I was intruding and, you know.
No, but no, it wasn't. You just sort of changed over and that was it, you know.
Did you miss much of the growing up of the kids then?
Oh, I missed a lot of time with them. Yes, missed them growing up. Yes, yeah.
How about Christmases? Did you do many on the tower?
Well, I did quite a few away, you know. Yes, as well. You just accepted it, and that was it, you know. Wife accepted it as well. Her father had been in the Navy, so she understood about husbands and being away, you know,
And duty.
and duty and that sort of thing. Yeah. Mm. But yes, one thing which with the drink and that, nobody drank on a rock station.
Was that an unwritten rule?
Nobody used to take any. It wasn't worth taking any of. Even those that liked a few drinks when they were ashore, it seemed once they got on the ship, that was it, that they were able to give up without any trouble whatsoever. I'd never known anyone who say, oh, I could do with a drink or anything like that, you know.
So nobody took out any home brews or anything?
No, nothing. I never remember, no.
What
No.
about Christmases then? Was that dry Christmases or was that...
Dry Christmases, just the same, yes.
Yeah.
Well, we never had people bringing things off to us like you've got at the Needles now, all the thing, make 'em, you know, but no, we never had anything brought off, no. We just made do. I went to St Catherine's. I was ashore from Beachy Heads, and a friend said to me and said St Catherine's being bombed, and he said I want you to go out there, and so I went out there with the lightship master, and the engine. And lights were evacuated. Well, anyway, they had four air receivers there, and when we looked round, one air receiver was over in the field next to the station. One was up against the wall of the PK's dwelling. Another one was up against another wall, and one had vanished. So I imagine that one went into, struck one of the